People who've been asked to watch my stuff for 5 minutes. Have you ever experienced anything in those 5 minutes that required you to step in? I was a regular at a very mellow bar and would often be the only one there besides the bartender. One day he said he had to go out for a minute and asked me to watch the bar. It's the first time that has happened to me and I felt pretty good about being trusted like that. 20 seconds after he leaves, the dude runs in the door at speed, jumps and slides across the bar, grabbing a bottle of whiskey and jumps off at the end, running out the other exit. It happened so fast and was utterly out of character for the area. Like a minute later the bartender came back and was like, "What happened?" I tried to explain but he couldn't keep a straight face. The other dude works up the street and was coming to meet the bartender and couldn't resist the opportunity to mess with me and went and gave the bottle back to the bartender. That they played the prank actually made me feel much more part of the family there than when I was asked to watch it to begin with. That's a freaking good prank, lol. When I was 8 I was walking to the corner store when I saw my friend's older brother with his pit bull. He asked me to watch his dog. He was on a leash for a few moments so he can go in and buy a soda. So he walks in and this pit bull, probably twice the size of me, just goes nuts at a bird and takes me with it around the parking lot. Well, he asked you to watch it, didn't say you had to stay in the same place. I used to work at a coffee shop and people would ask that pretty regularly. Generally it wasn't a problem except one time when guy leaves his laptop on the counter to be watched. Girl comes up and tries to take it. I grab it and put it behind the counter. Turns out it was his girlfriend and he acted put out that I hadn't let a stranger, to me, if not to him, walk out with his laptop. Friends invited me to go with them to a large casino and try my luck at slot machines. While I was playing a slot, the lady next to me, a woman probably in her 80s, asked if I'd watch her machine while she made a quick visit to the ladies' room. I smiled and said that I'd be glad to reserve it for her. She left the machine with over $485 credit displayed in the machine's credit window, just waiting to be played or cashed out. Some guy came along, spotted the $485 credit, and sat down at the machine faster than I could stop him. I explained that I was watching the machine for a lady using the lavatory, but he didn't care, and was about to push the max bet button, $3 per spin, to start gambling using the lady's credit. Fortunately, a casino attendant came by and I got him to intervene just as the lady returned. The guy was physically removed and escorted out. We took my daughter to the local children's museum recently. Right as we walked into one of the rooms, this poor woman comes running up to us asking me if I would hold her baby because her daughter was stuck in the slide. I held the little guy and made sure that I was in her line of sight the whole time. She seemed really embarrassed, but crap happens and kids are unpredictable. Apparently I don't look like someone who would kidnap a child. I was posted up with some friends at the beach and these dudes asked us to watch their stuff while they swam. 30 minutes later the tide starts to roll and getting dangerously close to their stuff, so me and my friends haul 5 dudes stuff 30 meters up to where we are. I'm talking coolers and chairs and everything. They came back and thought we moved their stuff because we were trying to hit on them. Hello, you dumb tourists. Your crap almost washed away. I was sitting with friends in a cafeteria at college and a woman set down a tote bag and asked us to watch it while she went to the bathroom. Not long after she walked away, a chihuahua poked its head out. I was delighted, but seriously, say there's an animal in there. LOL. That's ridiculous. Watch my bag should be watch my dog if there's a goddamn dog in the bag. One time I was at McDonald's with my son. We were traveling, and a woman came to me with her son. He seemed to be about 3. She looked very sick and asked me to keep an eye on him for a couple of minutes. She went in the bathroom and I could hear her hawking all the way out in the play area. While she was in there, her son asked me why I was so fat. I told him I was going to have a baby soon. No further drama. She came out a few minutes later, thanked me, bought her son an ice cream cone and they left. While she was in there, her son asked me why I was so fat. Because I just ate a child about your size. Better hope your mom comes back soon. I'm starting to get hungry again. I've bugged people by saying 5 minutes aren't up yet. I can't let you take this, but besides annoying the requester, it's usually the act of someone watching it that keeps it secure. I always like, some photons and nuclear radiation happened but not much you can do. Save my seat in a sold out movie theater with a popular film is a huge pain in the butt. Thankfully most theaters around have gone to assigned seating by now. Really, I've never been to a theater with assigned seats. Most theaters by me don't even have tickets, you just go in and pay the $13 or whatever and pick whatever movie you wanna watch. After a Blue Jays game in Toronto, my brother-in-law and I were asked to watch a hot dog vendor's cart so she could use the bathroom. To be fair, my bill is a cop and I've been asked if I'm military, both clean cut blah blah. A lady runs into the train station and we start getting customers. She was gone for 5-10 minutes but we made her $60. We walk away with a dog and pop and of course, a Jays loss. A Jays loss, as is tradition. Walking on Venice Beach boardwalk once when one of the artisan vendors stopped my wife and begged her to watch his little booth as he really had to go to the bathroom. She agreed. He fled, holding his butt. Lord knows where he ate that morning. She called after him, "Hey, how much are these paintings? $10 for big, $5 for small." He hollered back while still running to the toilet. Anyway, my wife embraced the moment, actively started peddling and charming those in earshot. I was chuckling watching it all. She explained she knew absolutely nothing about any of it, or the artist, other than he wasn't having the best of days, and sold 2 of his little paintings in the 15 minutes he was gone. He returns. She handed him the $10 and pointed out the empty spaces where 2 prints were, then said, "In case you didn't make it, I figured you might need an emergency clothing fund. Haha. P.S. Some of you might remember this day on Venice Beach. Actually, it was the same day that bizarre lightning bolt, on a perfectly sunny, clear day, struck the water near the beach, killing 2 people, and sending 12 to hospital. My god. I remember the huge boom from that strike. I thought a bomb went off." Your wife sounds adorable. When my friend was traveling around America, a guy asked her to watch his stuff while he went swimming at the beach. Turns out he almost drowned while he was out there. Ambulances and police showed up and she had to give a statement. I don't think she ever found out what happened to the guy before she left to come home. Yes, the pub I go to has a few customers who always leave their drinks with others. It's gotten to the point where everyone knows the drinks are theirs, and no one cares. Once, though, this one time, some dong walked into the pub looking for a fight and was apparently just taking drinks out of people's hands and trying to neck them. I had no idea about this at the time, but he walked up and grabbed one of the drinks that I was asked to look after. It was just strange. I asked him where the frick he thought he was doing, and he just got really aggressive. Next thing I know, the police are there. It was an incredibly strange night. I know a guy who used to grab unattended drinks on a night out when he had no money. He called it minna sweeping. I got sick of trying to talk down people who got, rightfully, angry with him and let him sort it out. He got punched a lot. Friend of a friend situation. Not my choice to invite him out. Guy told me to watch his stuff because he was going to take a nap. Slept like an hour, but I was stealing the free Wi-Fi so I didn't really mind. Once I was on the train to go home, and a cute couple sits in front of me with their bags. After a while, they both go to the bathroom and ask me if I can watch their stuff. I say yes, knowing that my stop was 10 minutes later and figuring that it wouldn't have taken them more than that to come back from the bathroom. Turns out it actually did. I had to leave and there was no one else there I could warn, so I just got off the train. Still don't know what happened. Maybe they were mad when they saw I wasn't there anymore, but I couldn't miss my stop, and who TF goes to the bathroom and stays there for more than 10 minutes, knowing that their stuff is all out there being watched by a stranger? When I worked retail, a lady came up to me and said that her son was wandering around the store. We were in a strip mall, so she was going to go to one of the other stores for a few minutes to teach him a lesson about not wandering off, and then she left. Within, like, 2 minutes, the kid came up to me asking to help find his mom. I told the truth, that she had run next door and would be back soon, but he was so bummed that his mom would leave him behind like that. Teach him a lesson. That never ends well. I was waiting in line to board an Amtrak train when the woman behind me in line asked if I would watch her suitcase while she ran to the bathroom. The gates hadn't opened yet so I said sure. Shortly after she left, The gates opened and it was a mad dash to the train. I felt like I would be trampled if I didn't move. But I didn't want to bring her suitcase with me because I wouldn't know how to find her, and my selfish butt didn't want to risk not getting a good seat on the train. So I left the suitcase there and went to get on the train. Didn't see her again. I still feel bad about that. Don't feel bad. It's not certain that you ruined her life, only possible. It wasn't 5 minutes, but I was stuck in line at the grocery store behind a lady with a huge cart of stuff. In front of her was one of those "but there's coupon says" argumentative types who was holding up the line for her. The lady in front of me is looking over her list and realizes she forgot one thing, and since the coupon argument seems like it's going to go on for a while, she asks me if I can watch her cart. She no sooner leaves when coupon lady relents and leaves. So I started unloading the cart of the lady in front of me onto the belt in order to keep things moving. She was apologetic and thankful, and as a thank you offered to let me take her grocery points on my rewards card. She had almost $200 worth of stuff. You were cool to unload her cart and she was cool to offer the points. Nice story. Took over asset protection for a co-worker while he went on a smoke break. Less than 5 minutes later, someone bolts out the door with a bag full of merchandise. In that situation, I'm damned if I do, damned if I don't. If I let him go, I'm in hot water for losing all of the merchandise. If I go after him, I'm in hot water for chasing down a customer. Guess which one I did? I didn't have much time to think, so I tackled him in the parking lot and he broke his kneecap. Got all $1,600 of merch back and cops also found M on him. Crazy night. I was quietly let go after the incident, despite my efforts to do the right thing. I think that might be stretching the definition of customer. Thankfully no. Always gives me anxiety when I agree to watch someone's stuff. I'm just waiting for the day someone actually tries to make off with the person's stuff, and in a split second I have to decide to leave my own stuff behind to chase them down. Well, then you'd have to ask somebody to watch your stuff. People ask me to do this all the time for some reason. There have been a few times where an opportunist shows interest in what I'm watching. You can spot these people a mile away. Each time, I basically just stared at them in the eyes until they lost interest. Nothing deters criminals like strong eye contact, or even better, recording them. Thieves hate attention. Penn Station in NYC. Not a year after 9/11. I was sitting reading a book waiting for my train when a dude ran up to me, dropped off a good-sized suitcase right next to me, and took off running. I found the nearest cop I could and let them handle it. I walked far, far away. One time, was on a school trip and went to England for spring break. We were at the Imperial War Museum and a chick in the group put her bag next to her trash can and asked me to watch it. This was at the end of the day and we were all waiting around by the entrance for everyone to get done in the museum, and she wanted to pee before we left. So I'm minding my own business and the bag is 2-3 feet away from me. Security walked by and eyeballed it. Then they came back again with a dog who sniffed it over, at which point I asked what was up and they asked me if it was my bag. I explained it belonged to someone in our group and they were fine with it. Apparently someone had recently attacked a subway station a bomb in a book bag left in or by a trash can. Unattended bags or packages left around London, especially in popular tourist spots, are a big no-no. They are seen as a terrorist threat. Asked a friend while I was buying a train ticket. He had everything in front of him. Still managed to not notice someone stealing my bag with my laptop in it. I haven't asked someone help ever since. Maybe the bag stole itself and your friend was framed. A woman asked me to watch her bag at the airport while she ran to bathroom. Security came up to me and asked if it was my bag and I explained that I was watching it. They asked me a ton of questions and were pretty much taking the bag away. I was a pretty sick mess with a sinus infection, flying home after a week-long work training. This woman had been kind to me, giving me a full pack of unopened tissues and a full pack of cough drops as we waited for our delayed flight. It turns out some Karen sitting next to us decided the dreadlocked colored lady, her ignorant words, must be leaving a bomb behind. I heard her complaining about it on the plane. She was seated behind me in the very last row. I was too sick to do anything but stew in outrage. But then my stomach decided to get revenge for us. I won't go into further detail, but I felt I avenged my beautiful tissue friend. I typically ask if it will do something special, then stare at it intensely. When they come back I give the report of it didn't do anything, all disappointed like. Most people don't ask me to watch things twice. If you go to conventions, you'll probably get asked to watch people's stuff a lot, especially if there's a celebrity walking around the floor, or they have a photo shoot and want to step in for a couple minutes. So random people coming up and saying that they're so and so's friend, boyfriend, girlfriend retrieving their stuff is fairly common. Pro tip: don't ask loners to watch your stuff. Try to ask the people smoking weed. I was standing maybe 5 or so feet away from this guy at the airport when he told me he really had to use the restroom and if I could watch his stuff. I said sure. About 10 minutes later I'm starting to worry, because there's signs everywhere that say report any unattended baggage, and I'm wondering if maybe this guy was a terrorist and he just left a bomb in this luggage and skipped out. So while I was debating telling security, who else but security started walking towards me. They asked me if these were my bags, and I told them some guy said he was going to the bathroom and asked me to watch them. They said something into their walkie and started asking me more questions. A few minutes later a canine handler and his good boy came up and checked out the luggage. I guess the dog didn't catch anything because after that, they left. The security guards were asking me to describe the guy when he suddenly appears and sits down in his seat next to his luggage. Apparently, he had sat down to take a dump and got caught up while playing with his phone and lost track of time. They still wanted to search his bags and he was more than cooperative. He also apologized to me for causing me trouble. That was probably my favorite trip to the airport. Was asked to watch a toddler while the dad stepped in a bar. I still have him 10 years later. Bro, where you at? Feeding this kid is expensive. The best part about being 6 feet 0 inches 180 pounds with a bunch of tattoos, a beard, and the male version of resting bee face is no one is going anywhere near your girlfriend's purse. Add 100 pounds and some weirdness to that and that's why people move to the other side of the street or straight up turn around in alleys when they see me. I'm not even mean really. I work retail and people will occasionally try to leave their other shopping bags up front at the cash register. We always tell them we aren't responsible for them. Like you can put it there but we aren't going to watch your stuff for you. And it is easy to just reach behind the counter and take it because it's happened before and we can't do anything about it. Side note, try not to have employees watch your stuff, it's really rude and we have our actual jobs to be doing and your things get in the way. I was out clubbing with the girls. We sat in a booth next to some guy. The guy asked us to watch his phone for a minute and left after we agreed. A couple came over and asked if they could sit where the phone was laying. My friend picked it up. No big deal. Guy came back, freaked out and yelled, "B, you owe me $70. Turns out there was a line of C on the phone and it fell down when she picked it up. Shoulder thrown his phone across the club after that. I had a girl ask me to watch her backpack in our school library a few years ago. 5 minutes later the sketchy looking dude slides over and nabs this girl's backpack. I shot up but actually realized I knew the sketchy dude was a psych experiment and the guy was in my frat. Actually, a few years ago I was at a shopping center with my mother and she had to go to the toilet, so she gave me all the bags and shopping and waited outside the toilet. Randomly, a guy came to me, a 9-year-old, and told me to hold his bag. I accepted and 30 seconds later this guy ran up to me and grabbed it. I was scared so I didn't chase him, but a guy in a turban next to me ran after him and caught him. Turns out, they owned a small YouTube channel and they were filming a prank. I was in Singapore last week and a couple next to me got up and walked away from a sidewalk bar. They left half full beers, 2 backpacks, and their phones on the table. I was really worried and watched their stuff vigilantly even though they didn't ask. They returned about 10 minutes later. In Singapore, no one steals your stuff. Or you're a good person. I wasn't directly asked to mind it, but once I was sat shotgun in my mate's car, waiting as he queued for a cash machine. As I sat watching the activity in the street, an old fella hauled himself up into the massive SUV in front of us. He only needed to pull forwards out of his spot, so it was as his reversing lights came on that it dawned on me the dozy bastard couldn't see us out of his rear window and might not know we were there at all. The SUV suddenly lurched backwards and, as it rapidly closed the 2 feet between us, somehow I managed to lean over to the driver's side, find the horn and slam the crap out of it. The guy stopped just in time. Probably wouldn't have done much beyond aesthetic damage, but had it broken my pal's headlights, our road trip would have been stuffed. So I was quite the hero for 5 minutes. Girl in my group project left to the washroom, left her bag and laptop with me. Some random dude comes and tries to take it and tries to tell me that it's his, like I'm a total idiot who will just believe him. Me and like 3 other people call him on his crap and he just sprints for the exit empty-handed. I always tell people that ask me that I will sell it for a good price. Intended as a joke, but you know, if you offer me a good price. I've never asked anybody to watch my stuff and I won't watch anybody else's. I'm an old man. Sometimes I say not much I can do. Somebody wants to take your crap, but usually I say nothing except no. Or I'll say, how do you know I'm not a thief? I was asked to watch a lady's bag when she ran to the washroom in a train station. No biggie, right? I am sitting there, watching the bag, a shiny pink carry-on sized roller trunk, when a big, scratch that, really big fella comes up and sits in the seat, with his legs on either side of the bag. I immediately realized he was trying to see if anyone noticed him do so, because he was looking around. I was worried that, if he didn't feel he had been seen, he'd just waltz away with it, but at the same time, I didn't want to get into a fight. I nonchalantly said, "Hey man, nice suitcase," in a loudish voice. He looked at me with a really mean stinky, and just asked yeah. I was uncomfortable, but I figured what the heck, there are witnesses, and this guy isn't gonna fight me here, right? The bag isn't worth it, right? I looked back at him and said, not a lot of guys can pull off that color. Somewhere, deep inside, I thought humor was better than calling him a thief. His response, "Are you calling me a thief?" I started to respond and someone shouted out Dale, which would have been at the bottom of the list if I had guessed this fella's name, and we both looked over to see a girl getting into a lineup. He looked flustered, went to join her, and I sighed in relief. I watched him out of curiosity, and in a few moments I saw that the girl he had just joined had an almost identical bag. So my only guess is that he thought the one I was watching was his girlfriend's. The lady came back a few minutes later and sat down. "No thank you." An old man looked at her meaningfully and cleared his throat, but she was into her iPod, so I just laughed it off and she went on her way shortly thereafter. I once had a lovely older gentleman ask me to watch his iPad while he went to the restroom at the Vegas airport. I was stranded without a flight home and no money, arguing with my dad to please get my check from work 3 blocks away from where he was and deposit it in my bank account so I could get a hotel room for the night. When the man came back, he gave me a $100 bill, which I tried to not accept, but he said he would hope someone would help his daughters if they were in the same situation. He was the sweetest and I wish he let me get his address or name so I could repay him. I was at a restaurant with some friends once. 2 of them get up to leave to go to the bathroom and they ask me to watch their thing. Jackets, purses. A few minutes go by and a girl walks by our table. I call out to her, thinking she was my friend. A minute later she walks by again. I caught her shoulder while holding out my friend's purse to that of a complete stranger. The girl had the same hairstyle and even the same shirt as my friend, but once I had a clear look of her face, I nearly screamed in horror. The girl was not happy about the mix-up. Had to reserve space for my buddies at festival. On the first day when everyone is setting up, we were 20 in total. They ended up being 2 hours late. I was alone and it was heck. Felt like the biggest butthole having to tell people they had to set up elsewhere. I was waiting for my flight at the gate with my wife and baby. I guess we looked trustworthy because a woman asked us to watch her bag while she went to the restroom. She wasn't gone 10 seconds before a man grabbed her bag. We stopped him, of course. Someone at a party asked me to hold their drink while they went to the bathroom. I said sure and went to set it down next to me. She said no, hold it. Some smarmy guy came by and asked, "Is that girl's drink?" "I'll hold it." And that was when I realized why she wanted me to hold the drink and not have it set down next to me. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check another video. Bye for now.